Welcome to the International Arbitrage 2024. Today is February the 15th. We are filming here today on the west coast of Barbados as usual. So today I want to talk about why families use trusts to protect children. And then we talk about young children, babies, young kids, and we'll talk about teenagers. We'll talk about older kids in separate video. When owner managers, because international arbitrage, we are talking to people that own their own businesses, people that have family-owned businesses, people who are not necessarily wealthy yet, but are working their way to becoming wealthy, or they have made some wealth, but they're very busy operating, owning their businesses. You are not people who have inherited your money. You have started very successful businesses. You're on your way. You of course have a family. You're doing well, and you have kids. And so you ask yourself, well, why would I want to? I'm very busy. I'm making money. Why would I want to stop and consider setting up a trust? But the truth is that you may be busy and focused doing your business. You're enjoying operating and doing your business. But at the end of the day, the real world continues. Now, throughout history, one thing we've known for sure is that the human race has predators. It always has. People who are willing to exploit the weaknesses of others in cruel and sometimes inhumane ways. This is a fact. We have a whole spectrum of human beings, some like sociopaths who have no morals when it comes to doing things for money or for things that they think that they need. And at the end of the day, your children live in the world with these types of people. The other sad reality is that these types of people, these predators, they can either be in your family or they could actually be outside of your family. And I'm not, when I say in your family, I don't mean like your wife or your husband. I mean, but they could be in your immediate family. We know this is just reality. And so when you're making money, you're doing well, the reality also is that if you don't come from a wealthy family who is used to dealing with the family and power dynamics and human dynamics of having money around and having a lot of money, and you've got a generation of elders who have dealt with that, taken care of things with that, given advice, put checks and balances in place. You may come from a family that doesn't have that. I come from a family. My father worked in a telecommunications company. He went to primary school when he was 28 years old. He was born and grew up in Barbados. His mother passed away at a very early age. He was raised by cousins. My mom came from a pretty big family. She was a nurse. My mother left Barbados in the 50s. They both moved to the UK back in the 50s. And they're working people. And that's the family that I come from. I own my own business. I'm working my way up. I'm not a multi-millionaire by any stretch of the imagination. I have 2 children. But, so it could be anyone from any country in this type of situation where you are the first generation. Yes, my parents worked. And God bless them. They have both passed away now. But that's okay. I am here for my kids. I'm 53 years old. And I am very much busy working in my business, but I have young kids, relatively young kids. And so, as you accumulate more money, accumulate more wealth, how do you protect your children, knowing that predators are out there? If your children are out in the world, they could be in school or they could be just starting work. At the end of the day, they, like all of us, are going to interact with people out there, and people, friends, people around them, other family members are going to get to know them. And the good thing about having a trust is when you put money and assets in a trust, you kind of, in a way, you take it off of the table. The children can benefit from it, but they don't, the money is not in their pocket. It's not accessible by them. They can't call up a bank and get it. So say, for instance, if you are out of the picture, if you're away if your children got hold of your banking information, if something happened to you, or you were ill, or you were sick, or you just, God forbid, weren't there anymore, your children could not get directly at that money. That money, any money that you've accumulated, any assets you've accumulated, would be safe in the hands of a trust and the trustee, who is bound by the law of equity. And the law of equity, as we know from other videos that Mithril has laid out, is the most powerful law in English-speaking and common law countries, especially common law countries. It's the most powerful law when it comes to protecting property, when it comes to protecting people and individuals, especially children, young children. And so a trustee of a trust where young children are beneficiaries would have a very heavy fiduciary duty, would be held to account by the courts and the court system and the legal system, and would bear a very heavy duty to always do what was in the best interest of the children. So a trust enables you to be able to protect your children from the predators that are out there in the world. At the end of the day, human nature, criminality is a part of humanity. We will always have criminals with us. There's no point throwing our hands up in the air, expecting everyone to have the same morals as we have, to be hardworking and get their own. There will always be criminality. We've just seen this in history. We all know this. I'm not going to go through this, but it is important to become practical with this when it comes to our young children and our teenagers. Young children, of course, are just plain and simple, straight up vulnerable. They're vulnerable. It is the most highest obligation is to young children, and that is something which is reflected in society. But as I said, in society we still have predators and criminals. Predators especially are people who deceive. They are deceptive. They actively work to deceive you and work through you and work around you, and they can definitely be harmful to you and or your children. And so having assets, wealth that you accumulated beyond what you need to live and have your lifestyle, having excess assets in a trust away from you, so to speak, is a really great thing, because it can remove the incentive of predators to target you and their family. Sad to say, but they will move on to someone else who doesn't have trust arrangements in place. Criminals, it's the same thing. Criminals are all around us. We don't necessarily always know who are criminals, especially in financial crime. You don't know who is a criminal. Criminals wear suits. They work in corporations. They appear respectable. They look like decent people. They're very sociable. We don't know who these people are. So protecting young children from these people, what you have worked hard to create for your family, should always be for your family if that is your intention. And so you're safeguarding your young children by putting assets and funds in a trust. And then there's teenagers. We all know as parents that children who are teenagers are simply not mature given what they're going through from the ages of 14 to 22, 23, to be honest. We all know what that means. We all know what that stage is like. Children are experiencing adulthood, some form of independence for the first time. These are not times to test children with large amounts of access to discretionary funds. There needs to be supervision. There needs to be limitation as you see fit. Parents know what is best, and you know your children, but a trust can help give you that, whether you are there or not. So protect your children from predators, from criminals, and even in the case of teenagers, a trust will help you to protect your children from themselves. So this is why we talk to families about trust. And it doesn't matter how much money it is, it doesn't matter how wealthy you are. A trust can work for any family, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you're making. It could be a little or a lot. At the end of the day, a small amount of money that someone has worked for is a lot to them, because they have achieved that money and they work for it honestly. And it's just as important as someone who's made many millions of dollars and has worked for it themselves as well. Okay, take care for now, and we'll see you in another video.